Hi y'all, I'm Allison. Today we're moving on to our second stop in the Start and Stop Buddy read of Murder in the Family by Cara Hunter. I am really loving this mixed media mystery. It's so much fun so far, and I can't wait to dive back in and find out what's going to happen. Get a little bit more understanding of what's going on. So this was suggested for our little group by Stacie Schulz. And Stacie, I think you picked another home run. So everybody really seems to be enjoying it so far. Now, if you've stumbled on this without seeing the first part of it, you are definitely going to want to back on out of here, as much as I hate to say it, because we are spoiling this, speculating everything, trying to see if we can solve it before our panel of experts. So before you proceed any further in this video, you want to make sure that you have reached our second stopping point, which in my book, which is 464 pages, is on page 207. If you've got the digital version, that's 480 pages, and you should run into the magical paragraph at about page 211. So what you were looking for was the transcript with Shirley Booker speaking, and she said, well, it can hardly have helped. I know Luke did offer, ... So provided that you have reached that point in the book, then by all means, stick around, because I am going to be reading to that point, reacting as I go, and commenting, speculating, the whole gamut. So I am really loving this so far. I love the mixed media aspect. Stacie Schulz, you picked a great one. I am having so much fun with this, and it seems like everybody else is too, based on the comments. And y'all were a lot more observant than I was. Granted, I'm still getting over my, I don't know, it's cold or bronchitis. I don't know what I had, but I'm on the mend. I'm feeling much more present today. But Fallon caught a lot of stuff that I completely missed, like the lack of mud in the house. Because Mara, I guess when she found Luke out in the yard, it had been raining, and they were saying that the drive and the grounds, everything were really muddy. So, but the police mentioned there was a lack of muddy footprints in the house, and we know for a fact Mara went out and back in. So there should have been mud somewhere. I completely missed that point. So, I went back and I reread the first segment last night to make sure that there was nothing else I missed. And I'm glad I did, because it also made me realize that, at the beginning we had that email from Alan to Peter. So Alan was the chief investigator, right? I know he's a detective. Yeah, he was a retired senior police officer. And Peter, who he sent that message to at the very beginning, is also from the police department. He was, I think, lead investigator. So there's the police. And, Alan was saying it would be in their best interest for them to speak before this show is aired. So, were the police did they leave some details out of the report? For example, muddy footprints. I don't know. But Peter, it was about to be brought into the story when we ended last time. So I'm looking forward to that aspect of it, finding out. I definitely think there's the sisters, there's something that those two were hiding. I don't know that I necessarily think has anything to do with the murder of Luke itself, but there was definitely something that the girls were, they don't want brought to light. And speaking of the girls, I want to know, they've got this big mansion, right? I would assume there are a lot of bedrooms in this house. And we've got the married couple, Caroline and Luke. And then we've got the 3 children. Mara, 15, Amelie, 13, and then Guy, who is 10. So that requires 4 bedrooms, right? So I want to know why the 15-year-old is living out in the back house by herself. There is no way in the world my parents would have let me live in the back house at the age of 15. And I know I wouldn't have let my kids. I was like, nope, you're under my roof, because I want to know what my kids are getting into and up to. And, when they get older, that's when they can proceed out to the back house and have their own space. So, why is Mara all the way out there on her own anyway? That was a little red flag for me. There's just something there. So let me know your opinion if anybody has one on that. Now, a lot of you were also bringing into question, Guy's motives. So I don't know if he's going to be like the guilty one, or if, what his angle is. I am really curious to see that. I am going to give Guy the benefit of the doubt. I think at this point, maybe he witnessed something, or he was just shielded. I think he's innocent of any wrongdoing. At the most, I think he may have witnessed something and he didn't want to say anything. But I'm not going to speculate anymore. I'm just going to go move into a comfy spot and get back into this book and find out what happens in the next 100 or so pages. All right, let's go settle in. Okay, Lily and I have moved into the living room, obviously. She's got her toy. I have my blankie. By the way, now that cold and flu season is coming up, here's a little winter tip for you. When you empty a Kleenex box, hold on to it, because what I do is I use this as a trash can. So I always keep the old empty box, and if I'm blowing my nose constantly, I have somewhere to put them. Just make sure you don't grab from the wrong box. Ew. Okay. I'm not sure where she's going, but she'll be back. By the way, before we get started, I almost forgot. Today, we will be closing the submissions for our December Start and Stop Buddy Read. So you have a few more hours left if you still want to get a book on the list, because I will be closing that at 6 p.m. Central tonight, which should be about 6 hours after this video goes up, if everything goes according to plan. That will give me time to create the wheel, edit, and all of that. And I believe the video for where we spin to find our 3 picks, that will go for a vote. That video should go up, I believe, on the 17th. So anyway, you've got till today if you haven't submitted your book yet and you were wanting to get one on the list for December. All right, I'm going to read. What a great way to start the day. It's been a while that I've got to start reading in the morning. Okay. I want to find out what's going on. I want to know what's up with the sisters. Let's see. Oh, that's right. They had Midge. Had been brought to light that the reporter, that he had arrived at the scene even before the cops did. So they're kind of questioning his motives for being there. And it seems like, from what I remember, y'all pretty much believe that he was just doing his job as a reporter, and there wasn't necessarily anything nefarious going on with him being there early like that. Let me know if y'all are the same way. Whenever there's a dialogue, ongoing dialogue between 2 characters, I tend to start skipping anything outside of the quote marks, and I'm just going straight for the conversation. So on this, I'm making sure that I'm not skipping the little, cut to scenes, or not taking note of who's speaking, and even more importantly, I think all of the little information in parentheses, like when it says Alan Canning not looking at him, I know there's going to be little hints in those. What would those be called? My brain's apparently still not here. But anyway, this is forcing me to slow my roll a little bit and pay attention to all the descriptors and everything that's in there. So are you running into the same thing I am, having to go, wait, who was talking? I hope that makes sense. I feel a little rambly this morning. I'm getting back to it. Okay, Bill is the New York detective, right? So we've got the 2 different police officers talking to each other. Yes, okay. Getting my bearings. Good girl. I've never heard drugs referred to as gear before. I guess, is that a British thing? Okay, so I don't know what I make of what the police's theory was on Mitchell being there. Was he there to sell drugs? And I don't know which story I believe at this point. Honestly, I think I'm more inclined to believe Mitchell's story, that he was there because of the police scanner. Because while guess it isn't an outrageous theory, that he's there to sell drugs to Luke, but there was no drugs in his system. There were no drugs found on him, and Ryder didn't have any on him because he was arrested right then. He had some pot out in the car. And the $300 could have come from anywhere. That could have just been Mitch's money. Although that was quite a lot of cash to carry back then. But it doesn't mean you wouldn't necessarily have it. So I don't know. I'm withholding judgment at this point. By the way, what's this London W8? Is W8, is that like a zip code or something? Is that how y'all do that? Is that just designating an area? Because I don't get that reference. Mitchell did do quite a few articles after that about the police and their lack of progress in the case. So Caroline was only working at Dorney Place for a couple of months when Amanda died. And they got married in less than a year. So Andrew married Caroline, his nanny, that he knew less than a year, within months of his wife dying in a car wreck unexpectedly. Dang, that's harsh. So she was just below a legal blood alcohol level at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm curious to know if, it says this, I was going to say, I'm curious to know if she was an alcoholic. And he just asked, did she have a problem with alcohol? No, in fact, she rarely drank at all, which is another thing that fueled the rumors. So why would somebody who doesn't drink that much be drunk already at 11 a.m. and driving when it's maybe icy road conditions? By the way, I can't remember who was it. Oh, it's going to bother me. Was it Luella thinking that all three of the murders that were, not just trying to figure out one, but thinks that maybe all three of them were actually murdered? Amanda, Andrew, and Luke. So that might be, I'd say there's something definitely suspicious regarding Amanda's death. Okay, so the girls, at least Amelie, potentially caught her mom when she was having an affair. How terrible would that be as a 13-year-old to come home and hear your parents, what you think is, well, your mother and your stepfather, having some fun in the bedroom, only to turn out it wasn't even your stepfather. Awkward. Okay, so this was 3 months before. Ew, okay, the thought of Caroline meeting her lover back at her house and using her daughter's room, that's just ew. I think that theory is just way off. They're trying to determine if Caroline's lover was the one who actually killed Luke or not. And they're doing different little scenarios and just, ew. She wouldn't meet her lover in her daughter's bedroom. I would hope. That's just... So the car was near the party that night. Ooh. Okay, so I just read the conversation between the two sisters. And Mara is definitely trying to misdirect. And it appears that she's protecting Amelie while she's doing it. Am I saying her name right, by the way? So I'm always mad at Guy for making the show, trying to make money off of what happened. And she didn't want her mom's affair to be known. And Mara is saying that it's best if everybody's looking around for that mystery guy, the mystery lover, than taking a look at what the girls were doing. So there's definitely something that the girls are trying to hide. I don't know necessarily, I don't believe necessarily that it's tied in with the murder, though. Because I think that would almost be too obvious. I think there's something else that these girls were trying to keep, hidden in the shadows. Were the girls buying drugs from Mitch? Maybe that was why Mitch was there. And he was heading out to the back house where the girls were going to make a drug deal. That could be something that they're trying to hide. And he could have gotten that cash from one of the girls, provided that he didn't already have it to begin with. So I still don't think that Caroline, even though she was at the party, and it turns out the party was only like half a mile from her house, I don't think she left the party and went back to the home. I don't think she had anything to do with the murder. I might be being naive, but again, she's too likely of a suspect. She'd be the first you would suspect anyway because of the spouse angle. So I don't think she had anything to do with it at this point. So what's this between Lila and Barry? So Lila's asking for help from Barry, who lives down in Australia, getting, I guess, more background information on Luke. I'm sure you know what I'm getting at. So the end, Barry says, I'll make sure he doesn't go poking around where he isn't wanted. So what would Layla have that she, I guess maybe y'all's theory is right, that each episode is going to show that every expert on the panel has a possible connection to this murder. Because it looks now that Layla has something that she doesn't want to come to light. But I guess she has friends in Australia. So does she know Luke from the past, maybe? That could be interesting. She's got a friend from there. Okay, episode 2. Ooh, okay. So I'm sorry if y'all can hear the washing machine. Life must go on. So looking into Rupert now, his phone call that he made, what was it, an hour before the murder? Or potentially an hour before. It was at 8:30 that night. Because there was some kind of an emergency back at Jordan Place. I don't know what that was about because, he definitely got irritated with that line of questioning. He didn't want to answer those questions. I was going to say, I wonder if that's what the girls are trying to hide too. If Rupert, if something went wrong there and they contacted Rupert. Although I never got the impression that the girls were close with him either. It seemed like Rupert didn't want to have anything to do with Caroline and her children. I don't know, curiouser and curiouser. Okay, so he was 23 at the time. Oh, they're saying maybe he was a drug pusher. Okay, so Caroline, she really started going through the inheritance from Andrew pretty quick. If she decreased that portfolio by 30% from December of 99 to October of 2003, that's significant. But like they were saying, I don't see where killing Luke would stop her from spending the money. It would have no impact. Oh, and by the way, that wasn't the washer, it's the air fryer. Wait, okay. Mitchell is interviewing the old bar owner in Australia. And this brings to mind Jackson had a comment about Luke, wondering if it was a typo or an actual, I'm looking to find it here okay, so Jackson noticed that on Luke, we've got 2 different birthdays for him. So in the voiceover narration, when they're talking about Luke on page like 42, in the first episode, they say that Luke was born in June of 1977. But on the forensic medical examiner's report, they have his birth date of September 8, 1977. Although, or is this the funky way of doing dates, which is backwards? I never knew. Because we put the month first, and over in England, y'all put the day of the month first and then the month. So I don't know if his birthday's supposed to be September 8th or if it's August the 9th. Okay, wait. I've got his day of death here, so makes it so confusing. I'm sure they've said what day he died 50 million times. Okay, on October 3rd, he died. The report was on... Okay, so this is actually, according to the examiner's report, it looks like this is the English way, the England version of dates. So his birth date on the report is August the 9th. And on page 42, the voiceover narration says his birthday is in June. So 2 months difference. So I don't know if there's any significance to that. Like Jackson was saying, if that was a typo, it could have been a mistake by the TV station. It could be an editing error. But what brought that back to mind was, you know, Mitchell is trying to get some background information on Luke from Australia. And they contacted his old school that he went to. The school didn't have any pictures of him. So there's no pictures of Luke. And he also contacted the bar owner, Don Wyndham. They do have some photos that show up, but Luke is, you know, within a big group, and the pictures, he's half obscured, and another one, he's just, you can only see him from behind. So I'm wondering, is this going to turn out to be like a case of stolen identity? Is Luke not really Luke? That could be an unforeseen twist. And apparently Luke had some girl that he was pretty close with. He was talking about getting a place together with her down in Australia. And then all of a sudden he quits his job and he leaves. And the girl was, you know, seen later, and she seemed upset. So I'm curious about that. I wonder, is there something to this? Oh, so about the same time that Luke left, it looks like there was a drunk driving hit and run, and it leaves a man in a coma. So did Luke actually leave Australia because he was involved in that wreck? The accident was in line from where he worked to where he lived. That's not looking good for Luke. So this Australian angle, is this somebody who, you know, is it his past coming back? Is that why he was killed? Called it. Thanks to Jackson with the different dates. So it wasn't Luke Ryder after all. It was an imposter. Because the real Luke died in Beirut in the bus bombing. Thank you, Jackson, for pointing this, getting the dates. So, guy, I didn't know. Oh, man, if I was watching that TV show, that'd be one hell of a cliffhanger. Okay, the conversation with the girls that saying that the mom might have known that Luke wasn't Luke. So apparently there's a lot of things to explain. It's not just who killed Luke Ryder, who was Luke Ryder. Oh, my battery's going to die on my thing. I have to get a new one. I'll be back. Okay, I have a new battery. Lily took my spot. And I also got a Diet Coke. So I'm at the start of what, episode 3 now? Episode 4. Oh, by the way, I went and listened to that Bob Dylan song. I'm not a fan. But It's Alright, Ma. Okay, so... Oh, okay. So Luke Ryder died in the bus bombing in Beirut. And then an American named Eric Fulton, I guess, assumed his identity. I guess he was there at the same time, but survived the bombing. So the age gap wasn't there. And when they have an accent, don't knock that over. This is Joey. Joey doesn't come around very often. So he actually wasn't younger than Caroline. And he had everybody fooled. He was a 34-year-old acting like a 23-year-old. Oh, I just reached the stopping point and it looked like we were going to finally get some answers about the girls. So, glad to say I don't think there was an inappropriate age relationship thing going on, which I know that was a theory thrown out. So I'm glad to say I don't think that will be coming into the mix at all, which I'm really glad. I didn't want to see the story go that way. I never would have guessed the stolen identity thing, and that, you know, Luke had some nefarious past that he was running from, and now Eric Fullerton had his own stuff that he was running from. So I hope we're going to get answers to all the questions. I hope we're going to find out if the real Luke Ryder left Australia because he was involved in that hit and run. Why Eric Fulton was apparently, you know, what he was running from to make him think that stealing somebody else's identity and during a bus bombing was a good idea, which, you know, as they stated, would be a perfect opportunity if you're on the run from something else and it's like, here's this whole new identity that you can just grab and you don't have to worry about your past coming to find you. And then, you know, that whole possible inheritance from the grandmother, like Caroline not knowing if Luke was Eric or Eric was Luke. And apparently the girls, there was some trouble up at school and Mara was dealing with drugs. And I would assume she was probably doing something pot, you know, the minor recreational drug use. So I'm betting that's what the girls are trying to keep secret. Something happened at school, some big scandal and whatnot, and that's their hidden little secret. I think there's too much of a spotlight put on the girls at the very beginning for that to really be for them to be behind it. At least that's my opinion. I have a feeling they're a very big red herring, although I am intrigued to find out what they are hiding. And we can't forget at the beginning that Alan sent that message to Peter that I think there is something that the police were kind of covering up for. It looks like the police did a terrible job with the initial investigation. You know, it looks like a lot was left uncovered. And then also Layla, she might know something about Luke Ryder's past, because, you know, when she was talking with her contact down in Australia, was it Benny, or what was the guy's name? Anyway, you know, they were making sure that some information wouldn't be revealed. I'm trying to find it real quick. Barry, that was his name. Yeah, she said, you know, she was talking kind of cryptic with, I'm sure you know what I'm getting at. And then Barry responds, sure, no worries. I'll make sure he doesn't go poking around where he isn't wanted. So I'm wondering what Layla doesn't want to come to light from Australia and how she could even have a connection to that. She also seemed very surprised to learn that all of the children had been in therapy after Luke died. So it's really amping up. And I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure that we were going to, you know, I expected some new revelations today, obviously, but nothing on the scoop that we got. So I am super excited to get to our next stop. Oh, which y'all need to know. So let me go find my paper that has my information on it so I can tell you what our next paragraph is. All right, so our next stop will be at 69% in the 464 page version. That will be on page 320. In the digital version, which I think ends on page 480, that will put you at around page 331. So Mitchell Clark will be the one speaking, and it's, why the hell didn't you say? Okay, maybe at the beginning, ... So when you come across that, you're going to want to put your book aside and wait for the next video to come out. If you are watching this a little bit later on down the road, after the entire series is already available, then I will challenge you to wait at least 24 hours before proceeding to this next stop in the book. So to give yourself some time to really absorb everything that happened this last session and to build up that anticipation. It just makes it that much more fun when you get back to the book, because you're like, oh. Plus it gives you time to really absorb everything that happened, and some new theories will pop up for you. All right, I am having so much fun. I can't wait until I can get back into it, but it's gonna have to wait. I have to set it aside. I won't be picking up my book until I typically wait, like I'm going to edit this today and then upload it tomorrow, which will be Tuesday. And then I typically just, you know, respond to y'all's comments and everything to get your theories going as well. And then I kind of sit on that for the rest of the day. So I won't start reading till Monday or till Wednesday. So I'm waiting. I'm almost waiting about 48 hours before I pick my book back up again. So, but like I said, I have to have time to edit. Okay. Really loving it. Can't wait to find out where it's going to go next, because I did not anticipate the little turns that we had today. I hope y'all are enjoying it just as much, and let me know if you have a suspect. I am out of no clue. I'm just kind of along for the ride at the moment.